Just John McCarley, the guru of organic gardening, shares with us his soil techniques.
Okay, I got a degree in physical chemistry, followed that. I was going to go to NC State to take a degree in while I was waiting, I got a job at a nursery, and this gentleman had all kinds of problems, and I just spent 4 years learning how to solve problems, so I got engrossed in that, and I've been doing it ever since. I went to work for a man named Ted Richardson, who was just an internationally famous nurseryman, and what we did is we grew rhododendrons. We would stick them, the cutting, we'd start rooting the cuttings in Hendersonville in late June. In October, we would load them into one tractor trailer, and we would go to Palm Beach, Florida, where we grew them through the winter and returned in 7 tractor trailers. And we were producing, 2 of us were producing 60,000 3-gallon plants a year. We were pretty well known, and when I left him, I went and grew tree seedlings, birch tree seedlings. I grew 500,000. I was the largest producer of birch seedlings in the United States for a while. I just developed a method of growing these from seed. They cut 2.2 million seeds per pound. I could grow them from a seed to 4 feet in 1 year. And then I went to the International Propagators meeting and gave a speech on what I was doing, which immediately put me out of business.
Yeah.
So, as you say, that pride and vanity is just deadly. So I don't mind sharing, but I've learned over my my career in horticulture that sharing is the best thing you can do. And we got some of our ideas first. Our ideas for gardening came from a man who was driving a shuttle bus at Damascus, Tennessee. We were getting our bicycle shuttled to the top to ride down. He was one of 17 children raised in West Virginia, and his father was a coal miner. They lived in a company house, but his mother was an avid gardener, but she had two-pronged approach to it. One, she needed to produce all of the produce and vegetables that she could for her family, and she also had a mania for flowers. So she planted them all together. And so we came up with this idea that we would plant our garden, and 1/3 of it would be flowers, the other 2/3 would be vegetables. And so we mixed the two. And then after a while, I became aware that the most important thing in gardening is soil. And so for the last 6 years, I've become a maniac of developing soil. And good soil begins to look like this. You can pass that around. That's and the way we do it is we use wood chips and compost and cardboard. And I'll show you all this later on in the talk. I have been in the landscape business for 30 years now, and I just finally figured out how to make plants grow really well up here. It's taken a long time, and the way you do it, do you want me to keep going, Mary Palmer?
Yeah, I think this is fabulous.
Okay. The way you do it is you've got to add something to compost to the soil, and what you do is nature provides what you need. Every fall we get all of the carbon that we need, goes right on the ground. But everybody takes a blower and they blow the leaves off of their lawn onto their neighbor's lawn. And then the neighbor blows them back. And this goes on until finally somebody gets disgusted, gets a bag, puts them in a bag, puts it out on the corner, and the guy carries it off the trash company. But what you can do, there's something you can do. You can turn that leaf matter into leaf mold. The entire Dutch flower industry is based on leaf mold. They don't use any kind of compost except leaf mold. And this is what leaf mold looks like. It's just finer. There's more area to this, which gives the fungus and the bacteria a chance to break it down. So they have got this little deal, which is the coolest thing you've ever seen. This is a blower, but the blower also has a tube that goes on it. You get these at Lowe's. that costs $68. And what it does is it acts as a vacuum, and it has a little steel impeller and a bag on the bottom. And so these leaves that fell in the fall, you just...
Had a bag blowout.
Oh my God. My bag.
Pick up rocks too?
Sounds like it.
Like that, those little pings you heard were rocks. It's best to be on grass, but I'm grass challenged here. So let's see what we got.
Oh my gosh, look at that.
Very
So that
nice.
grinds that as well as...
It grinds it as you suck it up. And be sure to just pick it up over there and see
Wow.
that it's got a strap. You put it over your shoulder. And then you've got this fantastic stuff that you can just put on and use as a mulch. Quit buying pine needles. Use your leaves.
Is that universal to any blower, or is
This is the only one I've found around here.
Which kind is that?
W-O-R-K.
It has to have a vacuum. Oh, we have one.
But that's worth it.
And I guess they're saying that if you do buy one, be sure not to buy one with a plastic fan impeller, because that will wear out very quickly. Okay, so you've got this. That is pure gold, and you've been sending it to the landfill. The other thing is worms. Where's that container? You can compost all of your newspapers and food waste that you have at your house with worms. This is our leftover vegetables from our house after they've been processed by worms.
John, when you compost though, don't you attract the bears and
Good question.
Nah,
Really?
I don't have any trouble with that.
Excellent.
Johnny, can't you take a lawnmower, put the mulching blade on it, and run it over the leaves, and then rake it up, do the same thing? That
It does, but this is really convenient. I mean,
That is really good.
I don't know which one I prefer. These are little composting worms. They're red wigglers. And I started off with 10. Somebody gave me some. And
Where do you get them?
I will give you all you want. I have millions. These things propagate exponentially. If anybody's scared of worms, just tell me to go away.
That's what you finish with these.
It is a red wiggler.
Red wiggler.
See the little red worms? Okay. Over here.
Okay, I want to sign up for a million of them, please.
And those go in your compost.
What you do is you take a container, a plastic container like you get at Walmart, drill holes in the bottom, put in some shredded newspaper, and then put in some of these worms. I'll be glad to give you. I started with 10, and now I've got millions. There, it's exponential. Every 3 weeks they double in population.
Just with, what about magazines?
Don't use glossy newspaper. I mean glossy. Any kind of carbon-based paper is fine as long as it's not glossy. I don't know. I guess it's the chemicals in it. Sorry, Mary Palmer. I got you a little messy there.
It's good.
Now
They
here
throw in the
is
washing
your
machine.
basic guy that does the work out in the garden. He's supposed to be there. Oh, he's a frisky little devil. Whoa, boy! And you see, that's brown. He's brown, and he's the one that does this. And what you wonder, you know, he comes to the surface. He takes organic matter. He eats it. He goes back down into the ground. He makes a hole. The hole allows water and air to pass into the soil, and it makes. He also exudes a sticky substance which causes the soil to stick together like this in these little clumps. So it gives what's called soil structure. So now, we get to the point in the garden. What do you do? What's the first thing you do when you garden? You get the tiller out. and you till the ground. That is totally wrong, because what you're doing when you do that is you are tearing the ground up. You should never turn your ground. You just build ground, and it doesn't matter whether it's a raised bed or flat on the ground. This material right here is food for fungus and bacteria. Well, bacteria like the sugar-based things like green leaves, fruit, whatever, that has sugar content. They break down cellulose, and the way they do it is this mycelium, which is like the fingers that mushrooms that it grows out. It can grow a massive 60 micrometers a minute during the summer, which is the equivalent to 2 hairs. But when they die, they leave holes in there, and that allows the bacteria to follow. The bacteria that follows it, it eats this carbon-based stuff and turns it into nutrients like phosphorus, potassium, nitrogen, and when he dies, what's in his body goes into the soil. So this is why you don't want to destroy these organisms that you have in the ground, providing you with nutrients. So, what does a good soil look like? This didn't work as well as I hoped it would, but if you'll notice, there's 3 layers in this soil. And what you can do to test your soil is just get a scoop of, dig down with your spade, your hand spade. Can anybody see that brown?
Yeah.
You should have, it should be at least 1/3. If not, you need to add some more organic
Of the
matter.
brown.
The brown, that chubby little
Dark
brown
brown,
one right
yeah.
in there. See that one?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Let me walk down
The
here.
second layer or the bottom layer should
This
be the
guy
third?
right in there.
The bottom layer.
Oh, the middle one?
There's the white one, that's the silica. That's the
Dark
organic matter,
brown
and
one.
that's like sand.
Oh.
And some of that stuff will just stay in suspension on
We have
the
lots of clay.
So you want the organic side and you got it.
About 1/3. About 1/3. And
And that's just water?
this is distilled water. You want to have non-ionic water. So, we got this, and this would probably be a good time for Mary Palmer to talk about the microgreens. Yes, ma'am.
John, if you're amending your soil and you already have pine nuggets down in your flower bed, or pine straw, you just add on top?
Well, I would,
Break that off.
the pine nuggets break down very slowly. So what I would do is probably rake them off. I would put down something like newspaper or cardboard, and then put 1 inch of organic matter, compost, on top of that, and then put your pine nuggets back, or you maybe put some leaves on it, so that, and then it'll break down slowly.
Gotcha.
But pine nuggets are tough. I don't know why they just take a long time to break down.
What about the pine straw?
Pine straw is even slower.
Oh, it's even slower.
Yeah, they just hardly,
I got a question, John.
Sir.
The cardboard, do you just lay that on the ground and put the soil on top
I'm
of
going
it?
to
Or do you actually
I'm
shred
going
it?
to show you right over here in just a minute. We're going to make a garden, and I want everybody, once we plant that garden, I want you to come back and see how well it does. Okay?
Okay, thank you, John. We'll this is like part A of D, and so we'll go and I'm going to show you how to do seed sprouting and prepare your seeds. And John and I will tag team this one. Stay tuned as we do 3 more segments in this great show about organic gardening, and the next one will be about starting seeds for microgreens in your own home. This is Mary Palmer Dargan of the Garden Talk Salon.